Here and laughing. Yes. I'm live.
Are you really?
I am really live. I'm quite sure of it. Oh, well, I'm live in one place. There's too many buttons on the other platform. There's so many buttons. So, early hi to the YouTube people. Slightly delayed hi to the Facebook people. Yep, you get more of me if you're watching me on YouTube. That's what I know right now. So, good afternoon and welcome to the last Thursday of 2022, which feels kind of weird. We're going to do a demo today. We're going to give you another step in your demo December Boxing Week demo to do. And we're carrying on with something that can be done whether you embroider or sew, whichever way you handle your decorative things. This will work. So today we are going to be embellishing a tea towel. You know the magic of television where magically from Tuesday's video now there's a finished towel? We're going to take this finished towel and jazz it up with fabric. Part of the instructions that you'll be getting when you play along this week with the Boxing Week demo is it's a pieced fabric addition to the bottom of the tea towel, and we're going to show you how you could take that similar technique and apply it all the way across the board and use some of those fabulous fabrics that you may have acquired and you're like, why do I have this? What am I doing with it? And specifically some of those prints are some of the bigger prints and things like border prints. So things like all these fabulous border prints. What do you do with them? There's so many good ones and they're adorable, but sometimes we're not sure where they go because we don't want snowmen or gnomes standing on their heads in a quilt. But they don't have to be standing on their head. They can be standing right way up on a tea towel. So that is where we're headed today. I'm just going to get my keyboard out of the way. I will need it later, so I'm not going to put it too far. We're not going to talk about the end of the year because, you know, that's scary. But the first thing we're going to look at is our border strip. And show you roughly where we're headed with... Nope, we're going to go back to this camera for a moment. So roughly where we're headed today... This sweet little tea towel, fancy little strip. You could have used this a few different ways. It could be more of a bulky end to your tea towel, but I'm doing this version today. And you're not going to be limited to just fabric. You could use the same techniques for something like ribbon. So if you have some fabulous ribbon lurking in your stock of goodies in your room and you're not sure what to do with it because you bought it because it was pretty and then you don't know where to put it, a tea towel, and then you can look at it every day in your kitchen, or a hand towel in the bathroom. This one's like a finger towel for the bathroom, a little bit smaller. So that's where we're headed today. So the fabric I have with me is fabric that I don't think we have any more of out front, but it will demonstrate exactly what we're looking for. So when we start looking at a print that we might want to use for a border on a tea towel or tea towel print, you need to decide how much of this print you want up your tea towel, and that's purely personal preference. If you want just your super skinny black and green and snowflake trim, that little tree border, we can make that happen on its own. We could add this section on its own. We could have the animals and the trees and the next plaid. You've got options. You get to decide how you cut your fabric apart. Our fabulous kidder Dawn has already made some bundles, and they're in the links below your video today for tea towels in general, but there's some tea towel bundles made with borders already cut. And some of them you might be able to get away with having a little bit extra depending on how the pattern falls. So for this one, I'm going to keep I would like a 1/4 inch seam allowance past my black stripe, because I would like that black stripe to stay as part of my project. It's going to cut into my plaid, but that's okay. I'm just cutting through a single layer here so I can be sure that I get the pattern exactly where I want it. Oop. Your blade is ever nicking and not quite catching everything. Could be you need a new blade, because sometimes they get gnarly and they need love. They need to be replaced. And I would actually like to not have the check at the bottom of this tea towel, purely personal preference. So I'm also going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. I'm going to go based off that red line. It's time for a new rotary blade in the studio. Be like a Happy New Year's gift to the studio. And then everything we're doing from here on out will be a whole lot friendlier with some starch. So I'm going to use Mary Lynn's Best Press and give this a starch. Working with a fabric like this that's all shifty might give us trouble. So more worried about those borders. Give that whole thing a light little starch. And then we'll start finding the tools we need to make this a really crispy folded under seam allowance for our project. So I'm going to flip this to its backside. And what I've got here is called a hot ruler. This one's called a hot ruler. These are part of a series from Clover. There's 4 of them. 2 hot rulers. They're the longer, skinnier ones. These are one of my absolute favorite things in the whole wide world. Because you can iron on them and they have markings. They're fabulous. So 2 hot rulers and 2 hot hammers. More squarish, more straight. They're fantastic. So this is a hot hammer, and I can get this down on top of my fabric and I can use that to hem right. Press that hem in. Right up to the 1/4 inch. You are not on the camera, I'm on. There we go. I can set that hot hammer or the hot ruler down and iron right onto it. And I love that the hot hammer and hot rulers don't get hot. So they're not going to retain a whole bunch of heat and you won't be burning your fingers as you try and maneuver your fabric as you go. And they're a little bit grippy, so your fabric will want to stay put and attached. We're just going to do this all along the top and the bottom hems of this border print, or what will be the hems. It's tucked under. Don't want to lift it up and move it while it's hot, so we'll let it cool for a second. Could pull the hot hammer out and start going from the other side. Leave the fabric alone. I'm much better at doing this from the left than the right, or the right from the left. One way makes more sense to my head. And the number of markings on this hot ruler, there's 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 5/8, and inch markings, as well as up to 2 inches. So if you wanted to hem something like hems for curtains, you could get a 3-inch hem quite easily, pressed into your fabric. I think that's happy and ready to go. Set that aside. And then when we're back ready to attach to our tea towel, we need the magic marking of where we want this hanging on our tea towel so it's not floaty and weird. Because floaty and weird on a tea towel won't make you happy. If I know anything about who taught me to do this, floaty weird tea towels don't make Anne happy either. So we do want this to be in the right place, and generally up from the bottom of the tea towel you want to be up 1.5 inches. That'll anchor your design if you're doing an embroidered design standalone or a fabric detail or ribbon detail. That 1.5 inches will look right when you get started. So you'd be welcome to get in there and draw on your tea towel, say with a wash away marker. But I'm just going to leave my ruler set up there. Make sure that nobody's heads are getting wildly cut in half at the edge of my tea towel. That would make me sad. Got that laid down on top. And I'm going to use a couple pins on each side just to hold this all in place. And I haven't trimmed the border fabric really at all. It's a little bit bigger than my tea towel right now, and that's okay. We're not going to start sewing right at the edge so that we can tuck our finished edges in as we go. So on both ends, we're going to leave just a little smidge past the edge of your tea towel. And when we come back to the first end, we'll tuck it in so it matches the hem of the tea towel. And same thing down at this end. When we get down to this end, we'll sew almost to the end and then tuck in the extra. My extra is a little bit too extra, so we're going to trim a little bit off. It's a little more than I'd like to manage. But certainly a little 1/2 inch bit in there we'll be able to, we'll trim that when we get down there. I think. Yeah. Trim a little bit off right now. Half to 3/4 of an inch is what I've left. And then we can take this over to our sewing machine. And I'm going to start about a 1/2 inch in on the first side along the bottom of the towel that was actually more measured with my ruler. And I'm going to do a small edge stitch with this. You could get in there with an edge stitch foot. I've got a 1/4 inch piecing foot on. And I've got my fabric lined up just inside the inside toe, which it runs about 1/8 of an inch. Or you could go a little bit skinnier in there, which will give you 1 or 2 threads caught in your hem. And then you need to be sure that you're telling your machine exactly what you've got going on so it doesn't yell at you. And starching the fabric here allows it to behave a little more friendly. Standard tea towel size. Tea towel I have would be a fairly standard size, roughly 20 by 28. More than welcome to do the same thing and make napkins or smaller towels for the bathroom, finger towels. Don't limit yourself. So when I'm about 1/2 inch from the end, on that first side, I can get in there and tuck this up to match my hem. This will help I'm going to go until that just matches the hem of my towel. And pivot and come up the hem just on top of the fabric. That'll hold the edge of the fabric in. So there's no raw edge there. And spin the works around. We get down to the second end of this. Same thing, we're going to account for however much fabric is kind of hanging off the end to get that tucked in and under. And doing it this way, depending how things shift and move as you're stitching, you're not going to be too short on fabric or too long. Starch over. And then come back to where we overlap with our beginning stitches. And just like that, we have a super cute tea towel. So if you're looking for a hostess gift for New Year's, you've got time to make a couple of these. You could make 2 or 3 of these or half a dozen before Christmas. Or not Christmas. We just had Christmas. I know what holidays happen in what order. But you could still make a hostess gift for that New Year's Eve party you're headed to match whoever's kitchen you're going to go hang out with. So that is adding fabric to a fabulous little tea towel. And this could start with just our plain white tea toweling, which comes in by the meter off the bolt, or we've got it bundled in 2 packs for tea towels. Or if you don't want to go through the effort of figuring out where the stripes should end or land, tea towel bundles kitted by our fabulous Dawn. And some of these are springy and wonderful, so if you're having the winter blues, one of those might crack you up a whole bunch. And the hot hammer will make this so much easier than trying to get in there and get your fingers dirty or hot. If you do have a fabric that you don't have enough room to make an extra seam allowance in there, you could go over this and hold it down with a decorative stitch or a satin stitch, and that would attach it to your towel as well. They ran away with the other towels. There was other towels in front of me a moment ago. They're not here, but that's okay. So much fun. Fabric in behind me today doesn't have a big border print, but I think you could probably do something pretty funky with this hexagon print. This is a new Lori Holt collection called Calico, and maybe you need to make a quilt out of that, or make some really cute piece blocks. Now that you know how to attach the fabric, you could do that with a piece. You could do a quilt block along there. Make a little 4-inch quilt blocks, row of quilt blocks. Do a little piece border. Lots and lots of options. So that is day 2 of Boxing Week demo. What you're working towards today, let me get my screens all arranged so they're going to work for me. Boxing Week demo this week is part of our Demo December series. So let me... Boxing Week. Let me find the things and we'll switch my screens around. Window capture. Boxing Week. There we go. This week there's 3 demos for you to go and watch. The first one was Tuesday, this one today, and then there will be another one tomorrow. You need to watch all 3. There's 3 little jobs for you to do. If you want to play along and get the free design called Cookies and Cocoa, little tea towel design from Kimberbell, with both a sewing version and a machine embroidery version, you will need to play with all 3 weeks. Not 3 weeks, 3 days. Shortest week of my life. Month of my life. Fitting all of this week. You'll go to our website, you search Boxing Week. We'll wait patiently for my website to catch up with me. It's slow because I'm streaming. So Boxing Week, today your top secret method of entry is finding a Boxing Week demo cookies entry. And you will need to make an account on our website, mysewingroom.ca. And when you get that added to your cart, you will be able to go in there, add to cart. And that is the super adorable little design you'll be getting at the end of this week if you do all 3 steps. There's instructions on Tuesday. There's instructions today. There will be more instructions tomorrow. So we'll go view cart. And then once you're in the cart, probably only have 1 of those in there, not 2. I was too eager. You can put it in your cart twice. It only does one thing. Your coupon code today is cookies. So you'll apply coupon. We'll take that $20 entry and turn it into a $0 entry. But once you're in that shopping cart, you can add all the tea towel supplies you want to your cart, and we'll get that order processed for you so you can get your tea towels made for New Year's if you want. Or add your hot hammer to your cart. I'm not on camera right now. I don't have the quarter cam on. So take your cart total. It will take your cart total to 0. Double check that that's working. Double check with my web guy, Tyler. But that is the top secret method for your day 2 entry. We do need all 3 days to get the free design, and that will be available early next week for you. And you'll have until January 2nd to watch all 3 videos. So if you're excited to make this tea towel, the cookies and cocoa tea towel, we do have some kits made that include all the fancy buttons, the twinkly lights, fabric, all the goodness. We have a couple available. If you'd like to buy one, let us know. And they're the Kimberbell Cocoa Stand Tea Towel Kit is the name of the product. But you can drop that in the comments when you check out in the cart, and we'll get more made because there's just a couple here right now. So beyond that, other things that might interest you in the near-ish future, we have some upcoming classes starting in January. We have a beginner quilting class. So if you're thinking you would like to be able to know how to make a quilt and follow all the proper techniques for accurate piecing, we'd love for you to join us for that. It runs Friday mornings starting January 13th for 4 weeks, and you're able to join us in store or via Zoom online if it doesn't work to come in because you don't live super close, or because it's just more comfortable to sew at home, whichever the case may be. We've also got some embroidery classes scheduled out in February, and one of them I have Anne's sample. I snuck it out of the kit room. This is the Calla Lily embroidery design from Hoop Sisters. We're running this February 8th and 15th. It's a quilt as you go technique from Hoop Sisters, and it is lovely. Super excited to have you guys join us for this as well. So if you're interested, those can be found on our website under our calendar, and look into January and February for those upcoming classes. We look forward to having you back tomorrow for part 3 of our Boxing Week demo. So join us then and get your last method of entry to get your cocoa and cookies sewing and embroidery design. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely afternoon. If you did enjoy today's video, hit that like button or the love if you're on Facebook. We accept hearts. And subscribe, share with a friend who might also want to know how to make really super cute tea towel hostess gifts. Drop it as a hint. They can make you a tea towel, or you could make them a tea towel. Either way, hit subscribe and you'll be notified when we go live next.